It's HeySofia and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to build a desert garden. So a lot of people completely skip doing gardens in desert environments in Minecraft simply because they're not sure on how to do a garden in a desert environment, or what they can put in a garden, or they just find it's too hard, or maybe they just place a few cactuses. So I'm going to be showing you guys a whole bunch of different things that you can build in a desert environment that still suit the biome that you're building in. These are all very simple things to do, but you can see already from my little preview here, they're very effective. So we will get into this build, so let's get started. First things first, we're going to be building some pathways for our build here. Now I already built the house and the little fence by myself just because the focus here is on the garden, not the house, so I just did a very quick house there. Now for the pathways today, we're going to be doing a mix of sandstone block, upside down sandstone staircases, and also normal sandstone staircases. Now the reason for this is because we want our pathways to have a very compacted look. And typically in the type of deserts that I'm kind of building mine off, you have pathways where people might have walking tracks or things like that, but the sand is just kind of stomped into the ground. You can kind of tell it's a pathway by the way it looks compared to the sand around it. So that's what we're going for today, just a compacted look. So if you're very close to the ground, you can see that there is a pathway there, but from afar you probably can't. So I sped up ahead and I filled in my little round pathways that I did there, and we're going to be focusing on the second area of our garden, which is kind of terraforming. Now I think it just adds a bit of variety to your build and it just takes away from being so plain. So I'm making a little foundation wall back here, which I'm going to be putting a bit of land that we can build in. Now something like this kind of wall in your build could be the little garden that you need. I know some people don't want to build gardens in desert environments because they just think it's very boring, or they don't think they need it. But if you do want a little something just to add a little bit extra to your build, a little kind of like retaining wall garden like this along the back of a pool, or maybe along the front door entry, could be a really nice addition. I'm also just mixing into the sand at the moment some dirt. This is because if you look at like hills in these kind of deserts, you do have hills and they're not sand dune hills, they're actual kind of mountains, so they are made of dirt and there will be some stone there as well, which is why I'm mixing some dirt into my hill kind of areas. You could also add in some red sand if you would like something like that, but I was just showing and I won't be adding that to mine. Next thing I'm going to do is just make some little mini hills in the garden, just the odd one here or there, and I will also add in some coarse dirt to those hills as well, just like the retaining wall area. There we go. So there is my little mini mountain hills all done. Now we're going to start focusing on the plants, and the first thing we're going to do is build some trees. So these are all trees that I have found from my researching of deserts, and also that I've seen when I've been in kind of deserty areas. So the first one here is a very long branch kind of tree. I unfortunately don't have the name of it, so I can't tell you that one. But what you want to do is build your trunk probably about 3 blocks high, maybe 4 if you want a bigger one. And then just kind of really bring the branches out quite long in this gradually sloping shape, just like you can see here. Now I'm just using bone meal to make mine have no red showing. I am using the acacia block for my tree today, just because I like the grey kind of dull look that the acacia block has to it. I think it's really fitting for a desert environment, probably why it's already used in savanna builds. And then what you want to do from these branches that you built, you just want to kind of bring out these little mini branches that just go about 1 or 2 blocks high, just very simple ones like this, and you just want to build that all over the tree. But yes, if you are building in the newer versions of Minecraft, you will have the tree bark block, so you won't have to be doing something like I'm doing where I am changing the total look of the blocks here. But yeah, you can just skip that. Once you have all your little branches, you're going to be placing two types of leaf blocks on top. The first one is a jungle leaf block, and then on top of that we will be using a birch block. Now the reason for this is these trees kind of have these really tall, funky looking leaf structures where it's kind of like dead leaves underneath and then they have the fresh leaves on top. So to kind of get that look going, we're doing the jungle leaf because in a environment like this, the leaves actually look dead because they're tainted because of the biome we're in. And then we'll be doing a birch on top because they don't really change their color too much. So this kind of gets the effect that the tree has in real life, where it's dead leaves all underneath, the fresh ones up the top. There we go. So there is my tree all finished, and I think it's looking pretty good. Now once we have the rest of our build completed, it will look a lot better than it does at the moment. Bear with me. But the next thing we're doing is building another type of tree. Now I believe this one is called a Joshua tree. And for this one here, you probably want to go about 3 or 4 blocks high for your tree trunk. You then want to go 1 block out from the top of the trunk and then 1 block out again. So you have a structure like this. Now the leaf block you want to be building on top of the branches, and you do not want to be putting it underneath at all. This is the type of tree where the leaves grow purely on top of the branches that we place. They're not growing underneath or falling underneath or anything like that. So this is a very specific kind of look. That's the way that the tree looks. But you just want to make this kind of domey shape on top of the tree. Just kind of like a normal oak tree if you think about it. But just make this very simple little dome. And that's your tree basically done. So you can see it's very simple, but yeah, don't do anything like this because it ruins the look of the tree. To be authentic, just keep it that way. Now I'm going to speed up and finish off some trees like this. And we're going to start focusing on the rest of the garden. Now first things first, I will be using some leaf blocks, but you do want to keep away from the spruce and the birch, just because they're not dead enough looking for these kind of cactus kind of leaf blocks that we're going for. Also keep away from like anything else as well. You could do acacia and whatever, but we're going to go for jungle and oak just because of the color taint. Now you just want to kind of randomly place them around. We're trying to go for like this little bulbousy kind of cactus looks. This is also something that you don't have to do. You don't have to be placing leaf blocks if you don't like the look of leaf blocks. I think this is just a nice way to add a little bit more to your build and also kind of have the appearance of a type of cactus. So that's what I'm going for today. In a way they kind of look like a prickly pear cactus, like little mini ones, because of the way that the jungle leaf block has all the little details on top. So they kind of just look like little prickly pears all over it. Next things next, we're going to do some actual cactuses now. Now these ones here I will be putting string blocks on top. This is because we don't want them to be growing really high. Some of them we only want 1 block high, some of them we maybe want 2 blocks high, some 3, some 4. So we're just putting these string blocks on top of our cactuses to stop any growth. I will also be mixing in with those as well some green concrete powder, and this is to kind of look like cactuses, like to kind of imitate a different type of cactus. I think the texture kind of works well because the concrete powder is really quite powdery. It's got a lot of texture to the block, so I think it can work well in this kind of environment. Again, this is something that you don't have to do if you're wanting only purely real kind of like plant blocks from Minecraft. You don't have to do that look that I'm doing, but I think it's something nice. Now once you finish all your cactuses, you'll have something like this. You just want to kind of like randomly place them around the garden. The next thing we're going to be doing is adding some acacia saplings to our garden. The reason is because they're quite a dull looking sapling. They're very dead looking in a way. So we're just, again, you want to be placing string on top because you do not want acacia plants growing in your little desert build. So you just want to randomly place them where you think they should go. And I'm also using the little mini fern block as well. just because in a desert environment it also changes color, so it's also a very appropriate block to be using in this build. And again, it kind of looks like a little mini prickly kind of cactus because it's the way that the fern blocks do look, so I think it's okay in a build like this. But once you think you've got enough, then go around and start just placing your little fern blocks. Now I'm trying to not place too many plants because it is a desert environment, but I also want a good variety. So I'm going to be leaving some of the dirt blocks completely with nothing on it, like nothing at all, just dirt there for a little bit of variety, showing the terrain is changing. And then the next one that we're doing is placing some dead bushes because I don't really think a desert would be appropriate with some dead plants hanging around the build. Now these ones you can place on the dirt or also on the sand, so just place them wherever you think they should go. I wouldn't place too many though, you don't want it becoming crowded with just dead bushes all over your build. And something else you could do as well for a little extra variety is adding some large ferns and tall grass. I think in a way they kind of do look like prickly cactuses, more so in this environment because they do have that color change. I think it's another type of block you can do. You can probably notice by now that the majority of these plant blocks that I am using are very dull in color, they're not very colorful. Now deserts can have really beautiful colorful flowers, especially succulents. If you look at succulents, they can have some amazing vibrant pinks and stuff like that. There's just nothing in Minecraft like that though, unfortunately, so there's nothing really to kind of replicate it. It would be nice if maybe Minecraft introduced some plants like that. Probably would add a little bit more to the game, but for now we're going to work with what we have. So I'm just going for a very dull green palette look. Next things next, I'm just adding some stone blocks around and also some stone buttons for a little bit of more terraforming kind of variety. I'm now just going to outline our pathway, so now with just some spruce fence blocks. Now you don't want to place too many, and you also just want to make sure that you're not joining it up to any other blocks. You just want it kind of outlining the pathway like this. But there you go, there is how to build a desert garden in Minecraft. I hope you guys really enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe if you did. Comment down below, would you build a desert garden in your builds now? But like always guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you. Bye!